And after completing Subagonian Night in the PS3 version, we are given the camera item, which has a strange and unique ability to exorcise dark spirits from people's minds. We're also about to see a demonstration.
Check me out! Yes, this is so much fun! I love it!
Hey, what's the big idea?
Ooh, look at that! I really know how to dance!
Come on, babe, let's dance the night away!
Yes, this is so much fun!
Whoa! Is there some kind of party going on?
Ooh, look at that!
No, something's not right here.
Oh, it's a carnival of creeps out there.
Now, what is a nice touch is that this is the only mandatory exorcism fight in the game. All the others are purely optional. In fact, you have to go out and find them for yourselves. And that's something I do like. The fact that these missions aren't forced down your throat. They introduce one of them in the story, and the rest are up to you to find. Now, these fights aren't particularly difficult. You can see here just 4 measly nightmares. The later ones can be a bit trickier, but your main obstacle will be the time limit.
Huh? What was I just doing?
Hey! Wait up!
Just now, was that Sonic?
Ah, that should calm things down a bit around here. Chalk another one up for Sonic.
You know Sonic?
Of course. He was here just a moment ago.
Tell me what's happened to him. Please, tell me everything you know.
I'll happily explain everything over a plate of cucumber sandwiches.
You know, when I think about it, exercising people with a camera is actually quite convenient. No need for a young priest and an old priest, a Bible, or even some holy water. You just take a quick Polaroid and they're out. But then again, maybe Sega are huge fans of the Fatal Frame series. Who knows? And afterwards you meet up with Professor Pickle, and he pretty much tells you what you already need to know. Go to Holoska Day, and also about the camera. And if you haven't noticed, the camera has like a limited number of shots. And once you use them up, you return to the Professor, and he reloads your camera. And as I enter Holoska, I'd just like to point out that this is actually one of my favourite themes of the game. It's just a gorgeous level, and with the ice, the huge ice formations, and the blue shimmering sea, as you'll shortly notice. And yeah, it's just a beautiful looking stage. And to bring up the medals again, fortunately, as you enter Holoska, you are able to collect all the medals in the stage select and hub world. So luckily for me, I can get them done right now, and so I don't have to backtrack. Oh, and here's actually quite an interesting character, a sort of travelling salesman who has a pet Chow puppet on his right hand. Kind of quirky. And speaking of the Chow, at this point in the series, the Chow had been part of the 3D games. They were first introduced in Sonic Adventure, where they played part of a Tamagotchi style pet raising minigame, which was kind of fun. But since the adventure games, they've been just relegated to cameos or brief appearances. Now, I personally kind of liked the Chow Gardens in the adventure games, but if the Chow don't come back like that, it's alright. I'm happy with them just being in the background. Now, something interesting to note, that this guy's name, Jerry Pecker, is actually a Finnish name, which is interesting because this level is called Holoska, and that might make you think that this is based off Alaska. So I guess what they did was they put together elements of ice dwelling cultures. So again, I don't think the countries in Unleashed are based off specific nationalities. That, and when you compare the Holoska flag to the Finnish flag and the Alaskan flag, you can see that it kind of looks like a mix between the two. So I'll give them credit for not being so blatant about copying nationalities. Speaking of this hub area, it does have some really good music. It's very calm, very soothing, and it suits the whole ice theme very well. And as we enter the Holoska stagelet, we are introduced to the running on water mechanics. Now this isn't exactly the first time Sonic's ran on water, but in terms of gameplay, it's like the first time the player has had choice about it. And then we have these stomp shoes. Pretty much speaks for itself. But like I was saying before, the running on water thing, Sonic has technically done it before, as in various super forms, or in the classic games on 1 or 2 occasions. But overall, it's something he couldn't do naturally until this game. Speaking of which, when running on water, you have to keep your speed up, obviously, or you sink to the bottom and die. And the whole running on water thing in this game, it's actually something I'm not particularly a fan of. And my main reason is, sometimes the game requires you to go around corners while running on water. I mean, when you're boosting in a fairly straight line, running on water is fairly easy. You just go straight and sort of avoid obstacles to your left and right. But there are actually occasions where you have to do that and turn around corners, and it can be quite awkward when you bump into something, or you don't turn properly around a corner, like hit a wall or something, and you immediately sink to the bottom. So for me, the whole running on water thing could have been done a bit better. And of course there are 2 medals hidden up here, which you can only get as the Werehog. So yeah, like I said before, it is quite fortunate that I can get the medals in one go. No backtracking for any of us. Hooray! And as we enter Holoska Day, I'd just like to say that this is one of my more favourite of the day levels, and it's just stunning. It looks gorgeous. It's also fun to play as well, and of course it does have one of the best music tracks in the whole game, in my opinion. It's very it's quite rocky, it's quite upbeat, and it's just a song that says joy to me. The track also has these sort of synthy light sounds in the background, and for me it says ice as well. This song, it's got energy, it's got rock, it's also got like sort of a beauty or lightness to it, and for me it sums up this level very well. Lots of energy, lots of beauty, so yeah, that's why it's one of my favourites. That, and I'm not sure if this was intentional, but this level definitely has sort of an ice cap zone feel to it in terms of design, and if they ever decide to redesign ice cap in HD, I would guess it would look pretty much like this, except it would start off with a snowboarding section, of course. And what you see here is the world's worst game of whack-a-mole. Speaking of which, you can kill these enemies by stomping on them, but stomping on these tiny enemies is kinda tricky enough. You can see I tend to have trouble stomping on the big huge switches, and in my defence, I'm blaming the game's controls. Nothing to do with my skills, I swear. And through this door we are introduced to the bobsled, which is a feature unique to Holoska Day. And that is something I do really like, because a flaw I think this game has is the fact that a lot of the levels play pretty much the same, like the only difference between them really is their scenery. But occasionally each level, the odd level I should say, has a unique feature, and in this case it's this sort of bobsleigh. And I do really like the bobsleigh. It's fun to use, you just hop in and steer left and right, and yeah, it's something I do appreciate and like. You know, when it comes to ice levels, my enjoyment of them usually depends on what the weather's like at home. Like if it's the middle of winter and it's already a bit chilly, I tend not to enjoy them. I find they remind me of the cold that's currently going on. But say in the hot weather like I'm currently experiencing right now, ice levels can be a bit refreshing to look at. And what we have here is one of the earlier running on water sections, but this one goes in a straight line, so it's fairly manageable. Just keep an eye on where you're going and things should work out fine. It's also nice to see whales finally helping Sonic, because Sonic has kind of a strange history with whales. Sometimes they want to help him, sometimes they want to hurt him. Now this next section coming up is actually a good example of speed, modern Sonic and 2D altogether. It's full of twists and turns that makes really good use of Sonic's boosting and homing attack abilities, and it's all done in this 2D section, very reminiscent of Sonic Rush. And it's also a very quick section. You don't really stop unless you mess up. So that's the thing I can appreciate. It's platforming in a speed style. A good example of the modern Sonic gameplay. And to bring up the scenery again, I do like the ice structures you see in the background. Just a good use of the whole idea of ice and the glacier. And now we get a second bobsleigh section to finish off the level. And this section, it's a bit more trickier than the previous one, but I find it's best to try and stay in the middle, and just generally try not to swerve off the edge. Riding around in this bobsleigh, it is actually quite reminiscent of the special stages in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, because basically I'm moving left and right down a half pipe, trying to dodge bombs. You know, speaking of this bobsleigh, I am pleased they went with it, because, well, when it comes to Sonic and snow-based vehicles, or whatever, you usually associate him with snowboards, and I just think it was a good idea to try something a bit different. So, Holoska Day, a really fun level, one of my more favourite ones. So, thanks for watching, and please join me again next time, and we'll see what this level looks like on the PS2 version.